This should be a quick video about the occult truth of The Lord of the Rings. During the prologue of The Lord of the Rings, we learn about the origin of the One Ring. There were different sets of rings gifted to the various races throughout the world of Middle-earth, or Midgard in Norse mythology. As I previously mentioned on my video about numerology, the numbers 3, 7, and 9 come up quite a bit. There were 3 rings given to the elves, and the elves are said to be the eldest and wisest of all the races, and they most closely resemble that of the Iluvatar, or the creators, and this is of antediluvian origin. The elves in reality are the Scythians, and the 3 rings represent the 3 Norns in Norse mythology. There were then 7 rings given to the dwarves, and in the mythos of The Lord of the Rings, the dwarven language, Khazad-dûl, is inspired by the Hebrew language. You also have the 7 parts of the Sephiroth in the Kabbalah. The dwarves also utilize the runes of the Futhark in their writing. So lastly, you have the 9 rings given to men, and this represents the 9 worlds of the Yggdrasil in Norse mythology. The entire mythology and battles that take place in The Lord of the Rings were inspired by the accounts of the Hlodskvida. So, historically, this was the war between the Goths and the Huns. The Byzantine Empire, at this point in history, hired Viking mercenaries, and meanwhile Scandinavian women practiced Satyr, a form of Norse magic. And this knowledge was obtained from Hyperborea and the eastern province of the Orient, I like to call it. The irony being, contrary to this romanticized fantasy novel, and I mean romanticized in more ways than one here, the so-called good guys lost to the Huns, and they got assimilated into what would become the Khazars. The Lord of the Rings is a hidden tale about the origins of the Caucasian people, and the orcs and goblins are considered to be once elves, but they got demented and tortured into becoming what they are. And this is the Mongols in reality. So you have the realm of Gondor, which have distant connections to the Dunedain of Numenor. In reality, these are the elves, or the Scythians. And then you have the kingdom of Rohan with Isengard, which means Iron Fortress in Old English. Isengard is ruled by the White Hand of Saruman, and the word Sarmon is related to the Scythians, or what Herodotus called the Sarumate, and lots of this comes from the Armenian mystic G.I. Gurdjieff. G.I. Gurdjieff, it's a lot of G's there. So, yeah, pun intended. G.I. Gurdjieff was a member of the Sarmon Brotherhood, and the origins of the Scythians is said to be that of the elves and the dragon bloodline, and see the link in the description for more information. Sarman pertaining to Sauron, the meaning of which is reptilian or scaly, Sauron. And this refers to the scale armor worn by horsemen. The Scythians were nomadic horsemen, which the Rohirrim, men of Rohan, are representative of in The Lord of the Rings. And this is why Aragorn, the king, has his own ring, and this is a secret hidden in plain sight. The ring of Barahir is Aragorn's ring, and it proves his lineage as the heir of Gondor and his bloodline to the Dunedain and the elves, or the Scythians and the Dragon Court. The ring has 2 serpents intertwined with 2 eyes made of green jewels, and this is a reference to Moldavite and the Caduceus. That is all for now. Check the link in the description. Read that shit.